around and find out. Now, we all know that I love that saying. I really, really like it. But if you're on that side of the internet right now where people are just telling you that you need to burn all your boats, just go all in, full send, whatever fucking motivational quote they want to give you this time, and quit your full-time job, I'm going to tell you maybe the reasons to not do that and the way that you can sustainably have both and then be able to build better foundations in your business. So my name is Emily Topping, and I've been in the business environment since about 2016. I've been producing content since 2012, and in the last 10 or so years, I have built my own businesses. I've helped other people build theirs. And for the majority of the time, I did also have a full-time job on the side because it was stability. Now, the main reason people are calling you out is because they're going down with the narrative that, you know, like, you must not want it if you're not willing to give it everything. Now, I've done this before of the whole, you have 168 hours in a week. And a lot of the time, the majority of us only use about 112, I think it is, on basic necessities. And this is with a full-time job. So this is if you're working 40 hours a week. There is a recent carousel on my page that literally goes through this. Maybe I'll put the breakdown here so you can see it. Can't remember it off the top of my head, but I definitely thought there was about 42 hours that I made up with that. 42 hours, even if you were to do, I think it was like 30 hours, and times that by 40, you know, like if you charge 40, it's like 4,800 extra a month, which is essentially a side business. Now, you can do all of that with having a day job, and this is what a lot of people just don't do. They go all in, you know, they want, you want the luxuries of having a business. You want to be able to own your own time, do what you want to do, go for a coffee with your friends at 11 a.m. if that's what you choose to do. I find that ironic because I'm filming this at 10:45. I am not going for coffee though. I'm going to go and get a puncher sorted in my car. That is what my afternoon is going to be. But this is the thing, a lot of the time we think we have less time than we do, but the problem that you have right now, potentially, if you're watching this with a 9-to-5 job and you want to build a business on the side, is you think you don't have enough time when you actually do. But there is a reason that people say this on the internet. I say fuck around and find out as a research development. So you need to be able to put things out there into the atmosphere to find out what happens with it. And a lot of the time that's risk. You know, you've got to be able to be willing for something to potentially go wrong. If you're very risk averse in business, I can understand that if you've already built something, but if you're building something, especially in this day and age, there is a sort of risk to go with it. You need to be slightly controversial in the nicest way possible. I don't think you should be going out there telling people that they're shitheads and all this kind of stuff, but I do think that you should go out there and speak your own narrative of what's worked for you and what hasn't. So for an example, I'm very much in this concept, which is you're just making an excuse and you have more time than you think. When you're doom scrolling on your phone for 4 hours a day or watching 6 hours of Netflix in the evening, that's your problem. It's not the fact that the business environment doesn't like you or you're so tired. It's not that, you're just not putting your priorities in the right place. And you need to just push yourself out of that comfort zone a little bit more to be able to get what you want. The other side of it is probably the other people that are telling you that you need to go all in. And most of the time, if you actually really look into it, what are they selling to you? They're selling to you that if you invest into whatever that they are doing, that you will get what they currently have. That's literally it. So they're telling you to go all in because then if you go all in, buy their program and it works, they win. They've got money and they've got the success and they've got the social proof. So you're making their business better. I don't think that's a bad thing to do. Those business models work a lot. That is why there is an entire coaching system in place and coaching businesses are thriving more than ever, and they will continue to do so. Now, if we go through my own personal timeline with Emergely, with my company, I had this. I had this framework, and in summer 2016, I came up with the idea of Emergely and the t-shirts to make. I then, in November 2016, incorporated the company. We did not launch until July 2017 because it took us that long to get t-shirts. Investment, which was my money, but it took me a while to get that money together. I only needed, I think it was like £1,300, but it still took me time to get that together. All the while that this was happening, I was still working full-time as a vet nurse. I think it was at least a 60-hour-a-week contract. It was hard work. It was night shifts. It was physical labor, manual labor, however you want to define it. And it was really hard work, but I still wanted to invest the time into building my business, so I did. The founding years needed me to have a day job. The founding years needed me to work harder, earn overtime, put the overtime into the business, to invest into things. You know, like my whole photography side of my business happened because I purchased a camera. I purchased a camera from the money that I made in my day job because the company was not making money. The company didn't actually make me any money till about 3 years in. And only in the last 12 months have I been able to pay myself out of the company. So see that trajectory where people are kind of like, I'm going to start a business and it's just going to go like that, and then I'm going to be living my dream in 24 months. It doesn't usually happen like that. I've been in this game for a long time, and it's only in the last 12 to 18 months that I've been able to essentially do what I want. This big narrative that everyone keeps going on about. Now, the reason that a 9-to-5 is an advantage to you if you are looking to start a business today, or if you are in the founding years of your business yourself, a 9-to-5 to me, I think, is paramount. I think it really sets you up for success because it pays for a roof over your head, food on your table, maybe that cheeky dinner out, all that kind of stuff. It will give you a lot more flexibility in your life, and you have to only think about it in a way that you are just eradicating this period of time. So for an example with me, I knew especially when I was more in the pharmaceutical industry, I knew between the hours of 7 a.m. and 5 p.m, that was it. There was an hour at lunch that I could do some work, but the rest of the time I was at a job. I had to dedicate my time to that job. And I did. And I loved that job. I loved that job until the day that I left. But when it got to the point when it was unmanageable now, that's when I had to switch. And that is what a lot of people probably are not telling you. You get one good month. Let's say you make £4,800 on the side with your side hustle, with your founding business, and you think you've made it because you maybe only need about 2,000 of this to survive. My handwriting is awful and this is all over the place. Let's say you only need 2,000 to survive. You've got to put taxes on top of that. So you're already thinking that the gross revenue that you need to bring in is about 2,500 into your business to be able to just pay yourself. Businesses don't work like that. Businesses don't work on the revenue to pay you to live. What about your overhead costs? What about inventory? What about deliverables? What about potential staff? You need to be able to take these into consideration, and a lot of the time this is why a lot of people will start a business, go in, full send all of this shit, and they can pay their bills up front, which is great. But 2, 3, 4 months down the line, the business is not sustainable anymore, because of the fact that they've literally just looked at this number. They've not looked at the trajectory. Now, I'm going to do a little plug here to James Gibson, who is my accountant. James Gibson works with a lot of businesses in the sense of he is not just an accountant. To me, he's a fucking lifesaver. He's been able to explain the way that a business should run to me so well that actually my business is doing better now more than it has ever done before, and there is more money inside of my business, which there has never been before. And I'm still paying myself a decent salary. I'm not paying myself bare minimum. I have about, I think it's like 400 to 500 quid extra in my back pocket that I can do whatever the hell I want with. It's not going on for me to live. It's just like play money. I don't know what play money is. I'm not that sort of person. So having that sort of flexibility that I have, that inside of my business, has allowed it to scale better. And then when it got to the point where I couldn't manage both of them anymore, taking on the business and going full time with it was the most logical decision. Now, I have a lot of respect for people who go in, full in, day one. They just go for it and they full send it, because you kind of give yourself that this has to work mentality. You can't fuck it up because literally you're living off it. And I respect everyone who does stuff like that. The reason for this video though is to also respect the people who do it all. So if you do work full time and you run a business, and in the future what you want is to live off your business and stuff, I respect that. And this is essentially just to kind of show you how manageable it could be. Like, if you can give 30 hours a week at £40 an hour, you are making a lot more money than most people. Now, the second question that I always get on this one, if people are trying to do something like this, is who the fuck is going to pay me £40 an hour? Most people. Because you've got to incorporate taxes into this. So if you take your taxes off this anyway of £40, you're already taking away £8, which makes it £32, and then you've got to think about everything else that goes into that £32 for you to be able to deliver it. For an example, the camera. The camera right in front of you. My photo shoots usually average around £100 per hour. That's if you wanted to take it down to the nitty gritty, even though what I do now is I just do packages around the project to see how it all aligns. You just need to find a skill. You need to find a skill that's going to pay you £40 an hour. I'm going to tell you what doesn't pay you £40 an hour. Setting, closing, VAs, all of that shit, that's not going to pay you £40 an hour, and that's what a lot of people are pushing for you to be able to make a side income. The reason I say that is because if you are not good at it, you don't make money. Like, there's people in the Philippines and India and stuff that are willing to do it for $5 an hour, and they're happy with the 5% commission rate that comes off the back of it if they are successful. Now, if you were really, really good at setting and closing, you'll make a lot of money. Because if you can push that commission rate to 8 to 10% and you're generating a company like 20, 30, 40 grand, you can figure out the numbers. It's the time and the effort that you need to put into it to gain the skill to get there. And that's why sometimes within the environment right now that kind of, I guess, irritates me a little bit more, is that a lot of the time we are not thinking about these things before we delve into it. So you're not thinking about, well, you know, I need this high level skill, but where do I go and get it? Like, a lot of the time, for me, I started out actually developing a lot of my skills back in 2018 when I started to work with an online fitness coach, very, very prolific, still very prolific this day and age, incredible businessman. And he taught me a lot of things. He taught me how to speak to people, how to set, how to organize, how to move the needle, how to essentially run a business. You know, like, he was able to show me that, but at that time it was literally like 4 of us. So you did actually take on a lot more responsibility. So if you haven't started a business, you want to start a business, let's say you are, we'll take the biggest example because it's the majority of my audience, is a fitness coach. So you're a PT. You want to move off the gym floor and you want to move into online coaching. I would first learn all of the aspects that go into it, because a lot of the time people don't put them together. So for an example, if you're a PT, how do you sell your services on the gym floor, and how can you convert that to just selling online? That's the biggest change. I've said it before, I'll say it again, probably haven't said it on YouTube though, is if you took marketing back to the 1940s, where you physically knew everyone in your village and you went to a certain butcher because they were the husband of the barmaid that you go to the pub with to watch the football or whatever you chose to do, you had all those interconnections inside of it where everyone kind of sold to each other. Now, all you need to do is take that online. The difference is you're not working with a village of 100 people. You're working on billions. You know, there's a lot of people out there, so you need to be able to reduce the noise. So that's when people come to me, and I've had some really nice messages over the last 6 months of being like, they love the way that I run my business, and I'm utterly grateful to hear comments like that. And it makes me think, though, of the amount of times that people thought that I was thriving when I wasn't. When I was working a day job, so my day job did come with overtime, and the overtime is what usually messed me up, because the overtime then took away my side time that I then needed to invest to be able to make the business grow. So my business actually stalled a little bit because of my commitments to another job. Now, there's totally different. Ever since quitting my day job and doing this full time, I actually have less time, but I have more of my own time. So if you are in a 9 to 5, if you are looking to build a business online, if there's any questions that you have in relation to that I haven't covered here, because you could really go on forever about this, Drop them in the comments, message me on Instagram at Emily Eats Hopping, whatever you want to do. You know I'm very terrible at this whole CTA things at the end, because to be totally honest, I think if people want to talk to you, they'll probably talk to you anyway. You just need to show up as your authentic self. Always. Have a great day. I need to go and get the puncher sorted in my car. And yeah, that's it.